The Ottoman Empire built one of the most powerful military features in early modern history. It was called the Janissary Corps. At first, it was an upgrade. Disciplined infantry, loyal to the Sultan, trained from childhood, paid by the central state. Unlike the older feudal cavalry system, over many centuries, the Janissaries helped the empire expand, take cities, guard the capital, and project power across 3 continents. But here is the system problem. A feature that protects you can become too important to remove. Once that feature controls the update process, every reform starts looking like a threat. The Janissaries began as an elite security module for the Ottoman state. Over time, they became legacy code with weapons. Today, we are not looking at the Ottoman Empire as a simple story of decline. We are looking at a harder question. What happens when the thing that once made a system strong becomes the thing that prevents it from changing? In the early Ottoman system, the Sultan needed soldiers who were not just tied to local nobles, tribal loyalties, or provincial interests. He needed a force that belonged to the center. That was the logic behind the Janissaries. Many were recruited through the Devshirme system, where Christian boys from the Balkans were taken into Ottoman service, converted to Islam, trained, and placed into military or administrative roles. That system was harsh, and we should not romanticize it. But from the point of view of state design, it solved a political problem. The Sultan gained a disciplined professional force that depended on the palace, not on local aristocrats. In system terms, this was centralization. The empire was not just hiring soldiers, it was building a loyal core module. The module worked for a long time. Janissaries were famous for discipline, firearms, and battlefield presence. They were part of the Ottoman military machine that helped make the empire terrifying to its rivals. When a system is expanding, a strong core can look like the reason everything works. But success creates its own danger. Because the longer a module stays central, the more other parts of the system are built around it. Over time, the Janissaries were no longer just soldiers. They became an institution. They had pay, privileges, political weight, and a physical presence in the capital. They were close to the center of power, and they knew it. This is where the system started to change. At first, the Janissaries protected the Sultan. Later, sultans had to worry about the Janissaries. That is a very different architecture. When a security module becomes a permission layer, reform has to ask permission from the thing it wants to change. The corps resisted changes that threatened its status. It could support one ruler, oppose another, riot over pay, and help block reforms that looked dangerous to its privileges. This does not mean every Janissary was lazy, corrupt, or useless. History is rarely that clean. But as an institution, the corps became harder to reform at the exact moment the empire needed reform most. European armies were changing. Military training, logistics, artillery administration, and finance were all becoming more demanding. The Ottoman state needed to update, but updates are painful when the old system still has veto power. By the late 18th and early 19th centuries, Ottoman reformers knew the problem. Sultan Selim III tried to create a new European-style army called the Nizam-i Sedid, or New Order. That name alone tells you the situation. The empire was trying to run a new build beside the old build, but parallel systems create political conflict. The new army needed money, training, and legitimacy. The old corps saw a threat. If the new model worked, the Janissaries would no longer be the mandatory military corps, so the update became political. Selim III was eventually overthrown, and reform was pushed back. This is one of the brutal lessons of system change. It is not enough to design a better architecture. You also have to survive the people who benefit from the current one. The Ottoman Empire was not failing because no one saw the bug. It was struggling because the bug had power. In 1826, Sultan Mahmud II finally moved against the Janissaries. The event became known as the Auspicious Incident. The name sounds calm. The reality was violent. After the Janissaries rebelled against reform, the Sultan used loyal forces and artillery to crush them. The corps was abolished, and the Ottoman state opened the way for a new army. In software terms, this was not a smooth update. It was a forced refactor after years of failed patches. Like many forced refactors, it came late. Removing the Janissaries did not magically fix the empire. The Ottoman state still faced military pressure, financial weakness, nationalist movements, and European interference. But the Janissary problem shows something important. Sometimes a system cannot modernize because the old module is still running. Sometimes the only way to update is to remove the module by force. That may solve one problem, but it also reveals how long the system avoided the real work. The Janissaries began as an Ottoman advantage. They were central, disciplined, loyal, powerful. But power changes incentives. A group created to serve the system can slowly learn how to protect itself from the system. That is how an upgrade becomes technical debt. Not because it was useless from the beginning, because it worked so well that nobody could imagine the architecture without it. The real warning is not only about soldiers or empires. It is about any institution, product, team, or process that starts as a solution and later becomes too powerful to question. The thing that protects the system can become the thing that blocks every update. So here is the code review question for this episode. How do you reform a system when the people guarding the old version are also the people who can stop the new one? Leave your answer below like a historical pull request. I am Patience. See you in the next commit. Status: Legacy module removed.